joys you embraced. Your story can guide someone else ready for the race.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Aji Saho. Our guest for today is the CEO of All Bright Pro Cleaners. Yunus Ba. Welcome, Yunus.
Comfort zone for better opportunities, you're sure to encounter unforgettable souvenirs. Whether it was the difficulties you faced or the joys you embraced, your story can guide someone else ready for the race.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Aji Saho. Our guest for today is the CEO of All Bright Pro Cleaners, Younouss Ba. Welcome, Yunus. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So Yunus currently lives in Indiana, USA. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. Now, please tell us a little bit about where you were born and raised.
Okay, I was born in Senegal and grew up in first part of my childhood was in Gambia. We lived there for about 6 to 7 years. Then moved back to Senegal where I finished my elementary school and high school. And then from there, traveled to Europe for a couple of years and then came to America. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. The fact that you are a Senegalese and you lived in Gambia for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What type of school did you go to? Since Gambia is an English-speaking country.
At that time, there was a school called Senegalese School of Gambia. So my mom was educated there, so that's where I started elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
It started a little bit earlier than usual. I think about at the age of 4 or 5, and then did a good 3 years there, 3 or 4 years there, and then went to Senegal after that. But we were learning everything in French.
Okay. Okay, so you can say that you started traveling pretty early, from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reason for what was your family's reason of moving to the Gambia?
My dad was a diplomat, so he was getting assignment in different states, different countries for a period of 4 to 5 years each time. So started in Guinea-Bissau, and Gambia, and then several other countries afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. And what age did you move to Senegal again?
I think I moved back to Senegal at the age of 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And please tell us a little bit about your life in Senegal as going from a child to a teenager.
Well, it was pretty good. at the beginning when we came from Gambia, it was a drastic difference, living in Gambia and started school with, I guess, little less interaction to the public, just because being a diplomat, so kind of like, a little bit secluded.
Mhm.
And then when we came back to Senegal first and started seeing, the neighborhood, the crowds, and all of that. So that was it was fun because that's not something I was used to.
Mhm.
And then went to school, easily built up friendship with a lot of different kids of the neighborhood. So
Mhm. Mhm.
it was good. And then graduated elementary school, went to high school.
Mhm.
The experience was great,
Mhm.
and that little background that I had of English in Gambia, I carried on.
Mhm.
So loved English, started speaking it, and was excelling in
Mhm.
that field in high school throughout.
Okay.
So that was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And what age did you start traveling outside of Senegal, apart from Gambia, of course?
Yeah, that was after I graduated high school.
Mhm.
So I think that was back in '98
Mhm.
when I was about 19.
19.
Yeah,
And
so that's when I initially went to Europe, precisely in Belgium. So I spent about close to 2 years there
Mhm.
before coming back to Senegal for another year and then come to America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, was your final destination always America, or um,
Yeah, initially that's what I wanted to after high school. My goal was to come here, and because my plan was to study business administration, like we all wanted to in Senegal. That was one of the major that everybody was aspiring for, but my dad was quite against it because of how rough it is over here. So he preferred for me to go to a French-speaking country, Europe, France, or Belgium, or somewhere around there. But after about the first couple of years there, I pretty much forced their hands to let me come here to America. Yeah.
now, what were your reasons? What's in Belgium that you say is not in America that you prefer? Or the opposite.
Actually, there was really not a specific reason. It's just the idea that we all have about America, what was advertised. And then I graduated high school with about 9 of my close friends, and 7 of them was in America.
Okay.
So only the 2 of us. I was in Belgium, and the other one was in France. So we all met back in the millennium, like in 2000, back in Senegal.
Okay.
And that's where the issue was, because everybody came from America. We came from Europe. We looked like we were behind. So I'm like, no, I'm not going back. Yeah. So,
Of course.
hmm.
So, when you finally came to America, did you go on with the plan of studying business, or?
Well, that quickly changed. That quickly changed because, when you in Africa, or precisely in Senegal, you are limited to the majors, the field of studies that which is usually accounting, business administration, law, history, geography, stuff like that. Then when you come here, it's a totally different environment. So when I got here, my host was studying some field that I've never even heard of, and I quickly changed my major from BA to MIS, Management Information System, and within a semester or 2 in that field, realized that the pay scale was going down because a lot of people was graduating from that. So, and through my research, I ended up changing to petroleum engineering, which was at the University of Oklahoma. Now, I did not finish that degree because it was quite expensive.
Of course.
So I started, I switched automatically to that. And then, unfortunately, that never finished.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's unfortunate, but you're not the only one that happens.
Mhm.
Were you paying for yourself through school?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the experience of America. You
Mhm,
have to study, and then you have to go to work
mhm,
to pay for your school.
mhm,
So the support was there from the parents, but it was
mhm.
not enough to
Yes.
cover due to the international student fee. That's extremely high.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now, I know as an international student, it can be hard to find a job that
Mhm.
can actually pay through your whole studies. So,
Mhm.
what was your first job in America, and how did you get it?
Well, at that time, things were easier. That was pre 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So not many of these restrictions were in effect.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily get your social, without any hustle, get your ID without any hustle,
Mm-hmm.
and then go apply for a job, and then you get a job. There was nothing illegal about that. We all worked. That was the norm thing to do. You know, and I guess these restriction, all of these verification and restrictions started happening after September 11, which was a drastic change. So my first work was at Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
which I barely could understand what people were saying.
Really?
But English was good and everything, but the accent for the Oklahoma people, like the
Yes.
country Oklahoma, and then they were speaking way too fast. But then,
Mm-hmm.
faced with that
Mm-hmm.
and being the only guy that's not speaking English, after 2, 3 weeks, you speaking English by force.
Yes. Of course. Of course. You joined the community very quickly, whether you
Yeah,
like it or
definitely.
not. So, did you have a did you have a certain amount of years that you planned when you were living in Senegal? You were like, okay, I'm gonna go do this and then come back home, or what was your plan when you were leaving Senegal?
Well, when we were living in Senegal, actually back in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
one of my friends that was in New York, he came, and he was in America for about 3 years at that time. So we always talked, and all we talked about with America, how
Mm-hmm.
much money you can make, how much of this is free, what you can get with it. So basically, before coming here, I already planned how many hours I'm gonna work, how much money I'm gonna make when I'm coming home. So all of that was in a span of a maximum of 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get here, that's when you realize that
It's
when
not.
what your plan is, and the
Mm-hmm.
reality is absolutely different.
Mm-hmm.
Which was doable at some point if you were just focusing on coming here and study and go home.
Mm-hmm.
That's very doable. You can
Mm-hmm.
finish your whole degree in 4 years and then
Mm-hmm.
go back.
Mm-hmm.
But then the reality of life happened,
Mm-hmm.
trying to add work and school and all those other things.
Of course.
Hmm.
Of course. Can you tell us a bit about the stress that goes on when it comes to trying to pay for your school and going to work, just so people can have a better perspective and to know that.
Well, that's not always obvious.
Mhm,
That's what a lot of people do not want to admit, but it's
mhm,
not always obvious to be combining those, because if you are self sustaining,
mhm,
meaning you have to pay for your own place of living.
mhm,
If you have a car, you have to pay your car note and
mhm,
then your living expenses, and then having to pay for school. For example, back in the days, my tuition was about $5,500 every semester. The semester is only good for about 6 months. So that's saving an average of $1,000 a
yeah.
month to pay for your school when you're only making about 1,000 or $1,100 a month.
Mhm,
So you have to hustle hard,
yeah.
sometimes even having 80-hour week.
Mhm,
Now, we would have a strategy of combining all our classes between Tuesdays and Thursdays,
mhm.
or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and have the least amount of time that we would spend at school and spend the maximum amount of time at work.
Okay.
Well, when you do that now, you're jeopardizing your school because you don't have time to do homework.
Mhm, mhm,
So even your schoolmates will not understand.
mhm.
we have this project. Why are you not here to do this project? Oh, bro, I gotta go to work. I gotta
Yeah.
pay for school.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part, is to figure out exactly where to put one and one together, and then come up with the money to leave and pay for school. And for somehow we were doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At what point would you say you decided that this is not going to work? It's probably not even good for my health to try and do these things at the same time.
Well, that's when you have to make the decision of, okay, so how am I going to pay my rent? Because you have to have somewhere to live. To be. So we would live in apartments and then share the rent.
Mm-hmm.
But then at that time, your school bill is racking up.
Yeah.
So at some point, you don't decide not to go back,
Mm-hmm.
but they will not let you enroll again because you owe money for the previous semesters.
Mm-hmm.
Then you really have to make the decision. Okay, can I do this? Or I'm going to skip a semester in order to work and then save money and pay the next one, and then move on to the next. But then at that time, you're losing quite an interest into it, and then
Yes.
focusing more on working, which also bringing money, but
Mm-hmm.
that would not be the best way to do it. And then you have to be creative now.
Yeah. So did you ever think about going back when you were leaving? Was it a thing where you're like, okay, I'm just going to go make a little money and then come back? Or were you just done with it for good?
Well, I went back a couple of times.
Okay.
And, I went back and took some classes. Actually, I took some classes as late as 3 years ago.
Oh,
Because I was comfortable, financially.
yeah.
And then I wanted to go and finish that degree because I only had about 36 hours left.
Okay.
30 hours left. So I just wanted to go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But then running the business and
Yeah.
Having to go to work and then have family and all of that is not always obvious. So, but eventually I will have to finish it, and then I will have to go, slow on my own pace and get it over.
That's what matters. And are you still doing the petroleum engineering?
In the state of Indiana, petroleum engineering is not available. It's only available in a limited amount of states: Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, I think, in California. So here, the closest thing we can do is chemical engineering. That's the closest to petroleum.
Okay. Okay. So, moving on to your business, what inspired you to start your pro cleaning business?
Well, when you're faced with hardship, you have to be creative. So so when you encountering certain things, you have to be creative. But this particular one was random. I've never even known about what I'm doing right now, that it was an option. So I was through another friend that I went to school with and work with. We were having another guy that was doing this business that I'm doing, and then he was transitioning to do something else. And then so as we went to conversation, he introduced me to what he was doing, and then told me that, hey, this is how I made my money, this and this. So I was interested in that. So we spoke several times, and he guided me to it. That was back in 2009. I didn't take it seriously because at that time I was still trying to do other things. I had a very good job at that time. And when we got laid off and I had that downtime between finding jobs, that's when I started going back into using the equipment that I had picked up from him, and then started generating money easily. I would make comfortable money at the time, less amount of time that I would spend at work. So I'm like, okay, now why not make this my full time?
Okay. So how long have you been in America since you reached there?
Been in America for, this is my 20th year.
20th year.
Yeah.
Mashallah. So and you have your family there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have children?
Yes, I have two boys.
Okay. Now, how would you compare the way your parents raised you in Senegal compared to their generation now, and how you're raising them in America, not even in Senegal?
Well, that's absolutely and 100% different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's one thing that I noticed myself being a dad, a father of two boys,
Hmm.
is like asking myself, did I ever spend this much time with my dad?
Yeah.
With my dad? Have I ever done this with my dad? You face to doing everything and anything for your boys,
Yeah.
So and then also you are faced in the challenge of trying to raise them
Hmm.
right, trying to spend time with them because they don't have what we had growing
Hmm.
up. We
Hmm.
had the neighbors, we had the neighborhood, we have the family, the parents, everybody around.
Hmm.
Where here you stuck with your nucleus family,
Hmm.
your wife, your kids. That's it.
Hmm.
Sometimes, rarely do you get any help,
Hmm.
but we do have help from time to time.
Hmm.
But then uh, you face into trying to raise them to maintain your culture, you know. But at the meantime, trying to get the level
Hmm.
where they're not just not adapting to American culture, because
Hmm.
whether we like it or not, they're Americans, so they
Hmm.
can have to be American. So now they can be American outside the home, but
Hmm.
inside the home we have to raise them without values, so that
Hmm.
way they can kind of like maintain both and know
Hmm.
exactly where they're from, and
Hmm.
and uh, and not trying to uh, to marginalize the fact that they're American as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Have they been able to visit Senegal yet?
Yes.
What's their opinion of it being
They
raised in?
love They love it. The youngest one doesn't have any. He's been there, but he was too young. But
Okay.
the oldest one, who's 9, he has been there several times, so he loves it. He is looking forward to go back.
Oh,
So that's the one that get always mesmerized by the horses, the sand, and all of these things. So he loves it. Yeah,
yes, it's different. I'm sure he enjoys it.
yeah.
So, being in America for 20 years, what would you say you miss about your country? And who are the people you miss the most?
Number one is my grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely miss her because I could not imagine not having seen her for a long time.
Yeah.
So now, what right now with the internet and all of these social media things going, it's hard to miss a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's available to you one way or another. The food, the 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 parties, everything that's happening, you get it. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you can get information before the people in Senegal get it. So
True.
everybody that you want to see is like a phone call away,
Hmm.
a video call away. You can see, like it's not like you miss feeling the people touching it, the
Hmm.
smell, the culture, the noise, and all of that. But
Hmm.
um other than other than that,
You get to see them at least.
you
You
get to
try
see them. Yeah, you get to see them. And things are getting easier. Traveling to Senegal is only like 7 hours away, so things are
Okay.
easy. Yeah.
So, why your grandmother the most? Why is she the one that you miss the most?
Well, emotionally, she's the
Mhm.
one that's kind of like getting old, and
Yeah,
always wanting me by her side,
of course.
always calling as much as she can to try to talk. So I guess that's what's building the
Yeah,
nostalgia, So
yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Well, I think you're the favorite grandchild then.
I hope so. Yeah.
So, what about your parents? Have you gone to see them?
My mom comes every year,
Oh,
about every year. Yeah, last year she didn't come because of Corona, but
okay,
she's pretty much here
okay,
quite often. So my dad passed away a long time ago,
okay.
03. So my mom, she gets here as much as she can. So yeah.
So, what advice do you have for people that want to come to America, like you've experienced living in Belgium, but you still wanted to leave Belgium and go to America because that's what you like and what you see on TV. What advice do you have for people that want to come there, either for school or for having a business like yours? You know.
Well, I would say one thing: the opportunities are different. In Europe, it's kind of restricted to the Europeans.
Mhm.
And even if you are a European citizen, and then you whatever you trying to open or do a business, it's not easy.
Mhm.
Here you can create and reach goals that you want to, and the sky is the limit on what you can do.
Mhm.
There is no barrier as far as your language, whether you speak this way or speak that way or who you are. It doesn't matter. My personal experience is you have to hustle hard and then make it to where you want to be.
Mhm.
Now there will be challenges, like anywhere else.
Mhm.
There will be racism, there will be restrictions, some whatever, but that doesn't limit you as a person to what you can accomplish.
Mhm.
Now, it's not always easy and it's not always obvious. A lot of people think that money falls off trees over here, the dollars are being thrown out the window from some. No, it's not. You have to work hard and you have to earn your money. It's not
Mhm.
given. Now,
Mhm.
the fairness that I would say in America is that you don't work for free. Nothing is for free.
Mhm.
Anything that you do, you get paid for it. Even if it's a 1 second of work, you
Mhm.
clock in, you get paid for that.
Mhm.
Now, um, it's a land of opportunity.
Mhm.
I do believe that. And then, you know, what you where you can be and what you can accomplish is not based out of luck or out of who you know or who you do not know. Like
Mhm.
that's the reality most in our African countries.
Mhm.
It's more about what you can prove yourself to be worth
Mhm.
and where your goal is and how you can what you can do to attain your goal.
Mhm.
That's just about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you were in university, were some people I know do have the pressure of going to school, paying for their school, and still having to send money back home. Did you have that pressure as well, or was it different for you?
Yes, I did.
Mhm.
It was a pleasure to be able to help out.
Mhm.
It was never a pressure that like you have to do it mandatory. Like
Okay.
it was not like a survival situation.
Okay.
I have seen some people where it is a survival situation. They are the only hope for their family back home. So
Mhm.
that's understandable. But each situation is individually different.
Mhm.
Everybody, I've met several, like hundreds of people that did not have to send a penny, do not even know how to use MoneyGram
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
money was coming from Senegal.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we all different, and each individual life is different,
Yes.
and the realities are different from
Mhm.
one state to another.
Mhm.
Some people who are in New York are doing things different. Some people who are in Indiana are doing things different. So, and it's all a matter of individual
Mhm.
reality. Yeah, we
Mhm.
cannot just say, "Hey, this is this is how it got. This is the way it works in America." You cannot just put it down on a piece of paper and say, "This is a trajectory. Follow it, and then you'll make it." Or not.
Mhm.
Each one is different.
Okay. What are your plans for the future when it comes to your business and your family?
Well, as far as the business is to grow it the more that I can,
Mhm.
and expand it to several other states.
Mhm.
That's the main goal, and we're
Mhm.
working hard onto making that happen.
Mhm.
Eventually make it a legacy for my kids, for my family,
Mhm.
be able to run it in the future.
Mhm.
And the goal for the family is to make sure that they really understand what their values and beliefs are,
Mhm.
and then be comfortable with those.
Mhm.
Combine the two, and then
Mhm.
build confidence, self-confidence, and self-respect for the boys.
Mhm.
Make sure they know who they are and where they came from and what their goal in life is.
Mhm.
So I think that's the main goal.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today, Younouss Ba.
All right.
You are a great interviewee.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Watch out for another episode of The Journey next week.
When leaving your comfort zone for better opportunities,